Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm giving you guys my ranking for all of the new comic book movies that came out in 2021. Before we get into it, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn notifications on because tomorrow I'll be uploading my biggest video of the year. I'll be ranking every single new 2021 release that I saw this year, and it's a list of 51 different movies, so please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss that video. But without wasting more time, let's get into it. Starting it off in 9th place is Marvel Studios' first release of this year, Black Widow. Personally, I'm just not a big fan of this movie. I think 8th and 9th place are very much tied. It's just a matter of what I enjoy more. Black Widow overall just wasn't a good movie to me. It was just average in every single category. The villains is where it gets really down low. Like, it's just not like Taskmaster and the other dude that looks like Danny DeVito. They both suck as villains, and it's just a lackluster movie overall. They advertise this movie as being one that'll change our outlook on Natasha's character from the very past of the MCU, and just her character will be revitalized. I didn't feel any different about her character. I loved Red Guardian more than Black Widow. I also loved Yelena a lot. Yelena became one of my favorite MCU characters just after that one movie, so that's why I really like the movies, because of Yelena, because of Red Guardian, and I want to see more of their characters. But Black Widow and Natasha Romanoff just didn't do enough for me. Number 8 on the list is Venom, Let There Be Carnage. I actually had a very fun time with this one, and that's why it's above Black Widow. But Venom, Let There Be Carnage, I had way more fun a time with. It was just so much fun. It was a 90-minute runtime. It wasn't dragged on at all. It honestly felt a little bit too short, but nevertheless, I still had a lot of fun with it. Tom Hardy delivered an excellent performance, but this movie is not without its flaws. Carnage isn't that good. Woody Harrelson gives a good performance, but obviously, Woody Harrelson can do a lot more with Carnage, and he just didn't do that with the 90-minute runtime. Shriek was all right, and just overall the vibes of the movie, they were there. It was a fun time. I watched it in IMAX. It's as a movie, it's not that good. That's why it's on the lower side of this list. But now 7th place and up, these are actually all good movies that I would recommend to anyone to watch. And at 7th place is Batman: The Long Halloween Part 1. I honestly don't remember too much when it comes to the nitty-gritty details, but all I do remember is that I actually really enjoyed this movie. It just didn't do enough for me on the Joker side, I guess. I loved Catwoman, and I loved all of the small things with like Gordon and all that kind of stuff, but overall I just don't remember much. All I remember is it's way better than Venom: Let There Be Carnage. It's way better than Black Widow. And I also do remember I watched this movie right before Part 2 came out, and I don't know why I just didn't like Part 1 that much. I think it was just because it didn't do enough for me. Like, it just wasn't as entertaining, but Part 2 was very entertaining for me. With that being said, in 6th place is Zack Snyder's Justice League. I think this movie is good. It's just 4 hours long. It's 2 hours too long in my opinion. Like, the first hour of this movie is the Justice League we already saw back in 2017, but the rest of it's actually really good, and I do enjoy it. It's just way too long. I mean, I love the Superman resurrection. I love Cyborg's arc. Cyborg is so good in this movie, but it's too long. I haven't rewatched this movie in full since it released, and that has to say something about it. It is a good movie at its core. It's just way too long. Again, I don't have many complaints other than it's like 1.5 hours too long for me. And again, rewatch value is a big thing for me, because in order for me to enjoy a movie again and again and again, I have to be able to want to rewatch it again and again and again. But this movie does not do that for me at all whatsoever. I cannot sit down to rewatch this movie. I did like Batfleck in this movie a lot more, but I still didn't like him that much because, again, he's surrounded by superhumans, gods, literally a cyborg, and the cyborg's arc was better than Batman. Like, Batman is cool in the DCEU, but this is still my prominent issue with him. Two prominent issues. Number one, I don't like the fact that he kills, but number two, he's surrounded by all these superhumans, all these big, like, massive god level beings, and he's just Batman. Like, he's driving a car when everyone else is flying. Like, he's just not fun to watch. So that's another one of my issues. I loved Wonder Woman in this movie. I loved what they did with Flash. Superman was cool, the black suit Superman. I wish he came in a little bit earlier just to make the middle go by a little faster. I enjoyed Aquaman in this cut. Honestly, he's one character that I would have preferred in the Justice League 2017 movie. I really liked him in the 2017 version. Overall, the 2017 movie sucks compared to this. This is still a really good movie. It's just, again, way too long. Coming in 5th place is Batman: The Long Halloween Part 2. I truly love this movie, from Harvey Dent to Poison Ivy to Scarecrow, just the Halloween vibes overall, because Halloween Part 1 took place during Christmas, but this second one actually takes place during Halloween. Halloween. Now, personally, I haven't read the comics. I just ordered it, so I will be reading it very soon. But I do think that the Long Halloween movies are really good as a whole. It's just part 2 felt like more of the third act type of thing, so, which it is, because in the comics, obviously, it's at the end, at the back half. So obviously, it's going to have more action. That's just my type of thing. Personally, I enjoy the action. I love Scarecrow. I love Poison Ivy. And again, I love Harvey Dent. And as a whole, part 2 just overall rounded out a lot higher than part 1 for me, but I still love both parts. And I've actually rewatched part 2 a lot more than I thought I would. These were actually my first 2 ever DC animated movies as well, and it was a great introduction. Nevertheless, I really enjoyed Batman The Long Halloween Part 2, and both of the Long Halloween movies really surprised me. But with that being said, now I want to get into number 4. In 4th place is Marvel Studios' ShangChi and Legend of the Ten Rings. I talked about this in my 2021 MCU projects ranked video. I absolutely love this movie. It's so good to me. I love Wenwu as a villain. I think he's top 3 MCU villains. I will be ranking or doing a tier list of MCU villains very, very soon, but I do love what they do with Wenwu. I love Simu Liu as Shang-Chi. I love all the other side characters like his sister. I also love Katie. I also love the Mandarin from Iron Man 3. I just love everything that they did with this movie, with the characters. I love the fantasy at the end. I love fantastical stuff in the MCU. That's also why I like Eternals a lot. And with that being said, Shang-Chi is just my biggest issue with Shang-Chi has to come in with the tone switch. Like I mentioned in previous videos when talking about this movie, it just switches tones way too quickly. I wish they made it a little bit slower, but at the end of the day, I still do love the tone at the end of the movie, that whole mythical, fantastical side of things. I just love it so much. And on top of that, the action was phenomenal. And overall, this movie is just really, really good. But now getting into my top 3 comic book movies of the year. At number 3, I have to put Eternals. I think actually Eternals is very underrated. I'm on the Eternals love train. I've seen Eternals twice in IMAX. I'm planning to watch it on IMAX Enhanced whenever it does come out on Disney Plus, because I absolutely love this movie. I feel like I'm still a little bit on the hype train, but personally, I just love it. It feels like the perfect mix of Captain America Civil War with like phenomenal, like outstanding filmmaking. Like it feels something that's not part of the MCU while still being kind of an MCU story that's like the main idea has already been told before about people getting divided, but this is on a much bigger scale. This is on, do they want to save humanity or not? It's not just like a petty fight between the Avengers. And that's what I really do enjoy about this movie. It's just a more massive scale of what we've already seen before, which I personally like. And again, with Tidimit and all these other like characters, we get to see the fantastical side of the MCU even more, which is another thing that I really do enjoy. Nevertheless, my second favorite comic book movie of 2021 is James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. Now, it's been a long time since I've seen this one, and I just recently rewatched it on HBO Max before making this video, just so I know that it's top 2, because when I first watched this movie, I felt like it was a lot of recency bias, but I rewatched it again. I've seen this movie a total of 3 times, and I've loved it even more every single time. It feels like the Into the Spider-Verse in the sense that it was ripped right off of the comic book pages. The colors, the screenplay, the writing, the acting, everything is just so vibrant and funny, and it's also serious at the same time. And there's serious moments, like for example, Peacemaker almost Like, there's so many serious moments in this movie, but it's still so fun and lighthearted at the same exact time. I love it so much. I made a few videos on James Gunn's The Suicide Squad when it initially came out, and I still love the movie. I think it's, again, one of the best movies of 2021 as a whole. And when I entered the theater to watch this movie, I wasn't expecting anything mind-blowing, but this one definitely blew me away. If you somehow haven't checked it out already, I really recommend you check it out. But nevertheless, getting to my favorite comic book movie of the year, I think you guys have all guessed it by now. It's Spider-Man No Way Home. I gassed this movie up so much. It's in my top 10 favorite comic book movies of all time. It's on my top list of favorite movies of all time. Like, I think it's top 20. I love this movie so much. I really do. I think it's the perfect culmination, and no spoilers, but it's just perfect. I don't know how much to say without spoiling anything. I've seen this movie 4 times, twice IMAX, twice Dolby, and I'm planning to go watch it a few more times before it leaves theaters. I just love this movie. I adore it so much. I love what they did with the character of Peter Parker. Again, without spoiling anything, just the character of Peter Parker and where they take him from where he was in the MCU, and then at the end of the movie where he's gonna go. It's just so well executed, in my opinion. It's a nice reboot. It's a nice reboot for this character. The villains are also phenomenal. Green Goblin, Doc Ock, Lizard, Sandman, Electro. Everyone is just so great, and I absolutely adore this movie. I think Willem Dafoe might get nominated for Best Supporting Actor. I know Spider-Man No Way Home is doing an Oscar push to get get nominated for Best Picture. I don't think they should win. I feel like they should get nominated, I guess. I don't really know. To me, the Oscars don't really matter. The awards are cool, but it just doesn't really matter to me. So personally, I don't mind. To me, this is one of my favorite movies of 2021. With that being said, that's all of the comic book movies I saw this year ranked. Give me your ranking for all of the comic book movies you saw this year in the comments down below. But again, that's it for this video. Hit that subscribe button and turn notifications on so you don't miss anytime I upload a new video or I go live. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.